Thank you kindly for joining us. An absolute pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille Network and our flagship website, ilovecville.com, that has been just popping with web traffic. We're grateful for all the retweets, for all the mentions on Twitter, for all the clapbacks, if you may, on Reddit. Truly a pleasure to connect with viewers and listeners of all ideological persuasions. So much to cover on today's show. We have the impact of oil reduction, OPEC's impact, on a global and a national level. Joe Biden and his administration infuriated right now. You turn on the television, you go to the websites of choice, you will hear and read that story. You will see that story. I'm going to take the OPEC story and localize it, humanize it, and personalize it from a Central Virginia standpoint and from a Shenandoah Valley standpoint today on this program. We're also going to talk on this show the impact of Hurricane Ian on Charlottesville and Central Virginia. You're going to say, wait, Jerry, how is Hurricane Ian in Florida going to impact Charlottesville, Fluvanna, Orange, Louisa, Greene, Albemarle, Nelson, Buckingham, the Shenandoah Valley, Waynesboro? We will explain why. How? After communicating with so many different remodelers, builders, the Association of Builders locally, Association of Realtors locally, this impact is real, and it should be something we prepare for. We will talk on today's show the impact of rate hikes on rentals in Charlottesville. Charlottesville is getting way more difficult, and it's not just CVille, it's Central Virginia in totality, it's the Shenandoah Valley in totality. New construction in the valley has a 3 in front of it. New construction in the valley may even have a 4 in front of it. It's getting more difficult than ever to buy a house. People are renting more than ever, and as a result, we have more renters than ever before. We'll talk about rate hikes and how they're influencing rentals and rental hikes in this community and on the other side of the mountain. We will also talk on today's show Charlottesville City Schools increasing bus driver pay. Bus drivers in CCS, Charlottesville City School System, just got a 12% pay increase to $21 an hour. Albemarle County is now significantly behind Louisa County and Charlottesville in particular from a bus driver pay standpoint. I truly believe we will see the limited resources in Albemarle County, bus drivers, leaving the Albemarle County public school system now for Charlottesville City public schools. The pay difference is tangible and palpable. We'll talk about that impact on the Thursday edition of this show. I want to highlight the comparisons between the extorting emperor of empty lots, Johnny Dewberry, and the Dewberry Hotel, a developer who lives in Atlanta but grew up in Waynesboro, played quarterback for the Rambling Wreck of Georgia Tech. We'll compare and contrast Johnny Dewberry, the extorting emperor of empty lots, to one Phil Dulaney. And ladies and gentlemen, Phil Dulaney has some prize properties. Are they in good shape? Hell no. But are they champion prize properties? Absolutely. We're talking Swannanoa. We're talking the Howard Johnson Hotel on Afton Mountain, the Wayside Chicken, Dirty Nelly's, shopping corridor in Fry Springs, the lot where Moose's Diner is off on I-64. I mean, he's got primo properties, Phil Dulaney. I want to compare and contrast John Dewberry with Phil Dulaney on today's show. We're going to also chatter, guys, a docu-series I watched on Netflix just released. It's called Eat the Rich, the GameStop Saga. It is fantastic. It is short squeezes, shorting stocks, the meme stock bonanza, GameStop for so long, and Judah Wickhauer, who we're about to show on today's show, made a boatload of money on GameStop. This docu-series talks about what happened at a 7th grader's level. It is a must-watch. And to close the program, I'm going to tell the story of Birkin bags. a luxury brand, Birkin, part of the Hermes family. Hermes? It's not Hermes. Hermes, viewers and listeners, help me out. A luxury brand that is just very much understands the concept of branding, of marketing, of supply and demand, of limiting product, of creating product scarcity to drive demand. Rolex watches does this well. We'll showcase Birkin and how it's doing this at a global scale to create a product that is an undoubted must-have for those 1%ers in the world today. So much to cover on the show. I want to again highlight the viewers and listeners that are mentioning us on Twitter, the retweets on Twitter, the threads on social media, and all the message boards. Our web traffic has been just fantastic. Thank you. Thank you kindly. Let's go to the two shot and let's welcome the director, the jack of all trades. A man who spent last week working on his suntan in the Outer Banks. Judah B. Whitcower. My friend, good afternoon. My friend, in the last few days, we've had lunch offered to us by the phenomenal ladies at Anna's number 5 on Maury Avenue.
I can't wait.
That's going to happen. I respectfully declined a couple times because we've highlighted Anna's not for food, but because we know an institution that served the community for 46 years deserves the accolades and attention of this show and this platform and what we've created.
Yeah,
they respond by saying, we're bringing you the house. So get ready. That's happening next week. We just had lunch dropped off by Fuzzy's Tacos. We're going to enjoy that after the show.
Unexpected.
Last week it was...
But pleasant.
Yeah. Last week it was while you were working on the suntan, Annie Argol of A Squared Pizza. Before you left it was...
Now I really want to try it, but apparently he's all sold out for the next how many months?
We talked about him on the show, A Squared Pizza, and he's sold out into December, and he's taking orders for February of next year.
Guess I won't be trying it anytime soon.
We had Lampo the day before you left for a week at the Outer Banks.
Yep, from the wonderful Scott
Aaron Worth,
yep.
The king of Virginia Beach. We love connecting with the viewers and listeners, my friends, and spotlighting them positively. Let's go to OPEC. I want you to set the macro and global stage for us. 2 million less barrels of oil produced per day. The show is yours on that, and then I'll take what you say and localize it, humanize it, and personalize it from a Charlottesville, Central Virginia, and Shenandoah Valley standpoint.
Yeah, so as I understand it from what I've read, the problem for OPEC Plus is that America raising rates is killing the global economy. Every other country is getting seriously screwed by America raising rates. This, I think, is the only way that the OPEC Plus countries have of fighting back. This is like economic warfare, and so them cutting back on oil production is not only a way for them to keep the price of barrels at least reasonable because they're in the business of making money, but it's also a way to tell America and the Fed, look, you're killing us, you need to stop. The problem is we can't stop. The other problem is that we've been, in the meantime, dipping into the strategic oil...
The reserves.
Strategic petroleum reserve. And this winter is looking scary because I think it's the Russian pipeline is getting shut down if it hasn't been blown up already. Europe and Eastern Europe are looking at a serious shortage of oil moving into the fall and winter, and we are, I think, going to need all the strategic petroleum reserves that we have, and they are, while they are there for hard times, which these may qualify as, I think times are going to get harder, and we're going to need as much of those reserves as we can possibly save until then.
Okay. Cliff notes from Judah Wickower, a very well-read man, from the macro. Now, this is the I Love CVille Show. We're going to try to localize this. We welcome our friends in North Carolina and the Asheville area to the program, our friends in Buckhead, Georgia to the program, our friends outside Baltimore, Maryland to the program. I see folks in Northern Virginia, Lynchburg, Southwestern Virginia, and folks outside Nashville on our heat map right now. Let's localize this. This is a big deal. Anytime you're in an inflationary period like we are now, to say every dollar counts is extremely obvious. It's to the point where it's like every quarter counts. Every dime counts right now. I had kind of an early lunch today with the missus. We split a Keswick from Bel Air, Tiger Fuel, and each shared half a sandwich. I filled up the Explorer, put $50 in gas. I'm a Tiger Rewards member to get as many points as possible.
Yep.
So I say, give me $50 of gas. When you're prepaying because you want to get a rewards card scanned at the register.
That's what I do at Wawa.
Okay, you do that at Wawa. You're not sure exactly what the full dollar amount is because the gas fluctuates all the time. So I said, give me $50. I was on empty, had like 14, 15 miles before the tank was completely empty. $50 didn't even come close to filling the tank, Judah.
Yeesh.
It did not even come close to filling the tank. So after $50 in gas, one Keswick sub from Bel Air, and a Diet Coke bottle, not the big bottle, not the 2-liter, but just like the 16-ouncer, the bill was just over $60. Just over $60. I was like, dang, that's a chunk, right? And we didn't even get a full tank of gas.
Yeah.
So we're in an inflationary period that many that are watching this show have never experienced in their life. I understand the inflationary times of Paul Volcker and the Reagan administration. I understand the inflationary times when home interest rates were, Judah, 16 and 17, 18%. But there's many, let's call it, who are what, like 50 and under?
Yeah, there are also people that just, I mean, for instance, I didn't really feel the effects of the time of great unpleasantness, 2008 through 2012 or whatever, just because I wasn't house shopping. I just wasn't aware of the impact of a lot of what was going on then. Speaking of gas, I recently got some gas, and the prices are looking great, at least compared to 6 months ago. I think it was down to like $3.15 where I went, which is great and probably has something to do with the strategic petroleum reserves. But as nice as it is to have the price of gas going down, if that's at the
expense of the savings
future
account,
yeah.
of our savings account when it comes to gas, this is a serious conundrum. It's an issue.
Yeah.
Okay? Now let's apply this to Charlottesville. Conversational format. You like this.
Mm-hmm.
Groceries, expensive. Gas, expensive. Real estate assessments are up double digits again.
Though who knows for how long.
Charlottesville City Council and Albemarle County, Charlottesville City Council, the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors are talking about a real estate tax rate increase right now. The used car market is still volatile and out of control. We can expect personal property taxes to be expensive yet again. We're getting cut left and right. This is death by the proverbial 1,000 cuts. Mm-hmm. Now we have geopolitical brouhaha. The Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell is hiking rates to try to temper inflation. The United Nations and other countries around the world are saying, good God, Jay Powell.
Every country around the world.
Every country around the world, thank you, Judah, are saying, good God, Jay Powell, stop. You're screwing us. The rebuttal to that, and you jump in here, the rebuttal to that,
sadly, they don't have a choice.
The rebuttal to that, Saudi Arabia, OPEC Plus, cutting oil production. That's their night to R6. I don't even know what the chess terminology is. Okay? The chess gambit, the gameplay is this. How will this impact Charlottesville, Central Virginia, and the Shenandoah Valley? Here's our take. You jump in.
I was recently reading something from someone in the oil and gas business, and they're talking about just the danger. He's saying that Bank of America came out today and said the price of oil could move 20 per 1 million barrels of oil. Russia exports 7 million barrels per day, and the world wants to shut that off. China and India will continue to buy some of that oil at a discount. He saw a report of $28 per barrel last week, which is still $100 per barrel. I'm not sure what he means by that. So let's say 2.5 million barrels comes off the market. That could spike prices well over $150 per barrel. The sanctions on Iran have killed their oil production because no operations will go. He talks earlier about how we just don't have the ability to ramp up oil production in a short period of time to make an appreciable difference in the short term.
$150 a barrel oil.
And he says because of the sanctions and everything else, they've been selling oil this entire time and aren't exactly sitting on a pile of oil ready to sell and ship to the market. What happens when you have a shock to the system, like a massive increase in energy prices, especially going into fall and winter? Exactly.
I want to put $150. Let's just use a clean number. You said potentially over $150 a barrel.
He talks about a little bit earlier. He talks about resistance levels on the prices.
Yeah,
and I think he says if it gets above 130, then the next resistance is above 150.
Okay, I want to try to put this in perspective for Charlottesville. It's a Charlottesville-based show. In March of 2022, so March of this year, the highest price for Brent crude, the standard. What do you think the highest price? Just spitball, back of the napkin. I got it in front of me. I can give you the exact amount.
The highest price I remember in recent memory when it was going up was, I don't know, it was just over 100, so maybe 101, 105.
Okay. In March of this year, when gas was astronomically out of control, and we saw over $5 a gas locally, it was $123.21 a barrel. $123.21 per barrel. You can find this online. The price of crude, Brent crude, easily tracked online. I'm looking at it as we speak. The highest we've seen this year, $1.23. You start getting 130 and up, we're going to be begging for $5 a gallon gas. Begging for that. You start flirting with 140, 150, we may be begging for $6 a gallon gas. And remember, this is all colliding at the same time that American credit card debt is at an all-time high. Inflation is not nearly in check. Groceries are out of control. And Jerome Powell is raising rates, which is impacting the prime rate and floating debt, credit cards, vehicle loans, and other floating financing mechanisms.
And this guy also ties this in with the economy in what happened with 2008. He says everyone likes to point the finger at the subprime mortgages, talking about 2008, but an argument could be made that it was the dramatic spike in oil prices that could have been the market catalyst to put enough pressure on the cracks in the system to make it all crash. And I think we're seeing way more cracks even than we did in 2008, which is extremely worrisome.
So here's the question. What's the most important aspect of most Americans' assets, portfolios, and retirements? What is it?
Their home?
Their home. If gas gets, and we need to have frank conversations. As Keith Smith says, real talk. If gas gets to 5 and 6 in Q4 of this year, Kevin Yancey, do you think Kevin Yancey's watching in Waynesboro? Bill McChesney is watching, Wild Bill, in the city. Katie Pearl is watching. Johnny Ornalis is watching. Stephen Henderson is watching in Nashville. Kelsey Lucier is watching in Buckhead, Georgia. Do you guys think in Q4 of this year we'll see $5 a gallon gas? If I put the over-under at $5 a gallon, Kevin and Katie and Vanessa and Kevin Higgins and Bill and Kelsey and Steven and Lauren and Scott and everyone else, if I put the over-under at $5 a gallon in Q4 of this year, we're in Q4, let's call it December. Do you take the over or under on $5 a gallon gas? Let's call it January or February.
I honestly don't know. Maybe these people have a better. I'm
Yancey.
Sharing the information that I've got.
We love to crowdsource the ideas. Where are you putting your money? Where are you putting your poker chips? Take it a step further. What's the impact that this will have on folks that need to drive 20 to 45 minutes toward the epicenter of employment, the city of Charlottesville? How many people were priced out of Charlottesville and Albemarle County? Hell, Judah. How many people were priced out of Lake Monticello and Spring Creek? How many people were priced out of the Ryan Holmes development in Greene County, right over the Albemarle County line? How many people were priced out of Rivanna Village?
Yeah.
How many people were priced out of Mill Creek and Lake Renovia and Redfields and Avon Park and Avinity? A lot. Folks that purchased during the pandemic at the peak of the market. That's what the pandemic was. The peak of the market.
Yeah.
These are facts. I'm speaking factually. Folks that purchased at the peak of the market, the pandemic, and now are having to drive 20 to 45 minutes in a $5 or $6 gas scenario. What is that going to do? How's that going to impact disposable income? What is that going to do to home values? How is it compounded with jurisdictions that are seeing retail sales flatlined or dropping, food and beverage taxes flatlining or dropping because people are spending less money out because of inflation or economic fears.
So you're not saying the taxes are dropping, you mean the...
I'm saying tax revenue will drop.
The revenue is dropping.
Tax revenue will drop.
But not the actual taxes.
I'm saying jurisdictional food and beverage taxes are going to start flatlining or dropping because folks aren't going to be spending as much out on Main Street because the money just ain't there or they're scared from an economic standpoint.
Right, the tax revenues.
Tax revenues. So what does a jurisdiction have to do when the revenues drop? What does a jurisdiction have to do when the revenues drop? And Judah, they just gave City of Charlottesville bus drivers a 12% increase in pay to $21 an hour.
But to be fair, that's what you've been calling for.
I've been calling for that. But I've been calling for that from the rebranding allocation. I've been asking them to take money from one line item on the balance sheet, one line item on the P&L, and shifting it to the bus drivers. I haven't been asking them to throw extra money to this. I've been asking them to shift priorities. That's different. See my point?
I do, though we have had arguments over just being able to give money to bus drivers.
Well, the City of Charlottesville and the school bus drivers for Charlottesville Public Schools, that's run by the government, by Charlottesville Albemarle Transit. Right?
Okay.
They just gave the bus drivers a 12% increase in pay. The jurisdiction is going to have to figure out how to fund this additional pay.
Yeah.
How do we think they're going to do that?
Raise taxes.
They're going to raise taxes. They're going to raise taxes. We're at a crossroads. A crossroads. And the crossroads is the grim reaper of gentrification. And the grim reaper is knocking. On Charlottesville's door. And the people that are opening the door to allow the grim reaper tax man in are elected officials. And as the grim reaper of taxes come in, the collateral damage is gentrification of the worst kind. These are all unfortunate byproducts of COVID.
Well, there's more than that, but...
That was the impetus.
Aspects
compounding the impetus that is COVID, Russia, Ukraine.
I would argue...
Aspects compounding that, and you jump in, poor policy by the Biden administration. Aspects compounding that, interest rates at 0% for years. Aspects compounding that, piss poor vision by the Fed for a decade plus.
Well, they were holding off what they caused in 2008. I know that we saw a mini recession from that, or even a full recession, if you want to call it.
Oh, that was a real deal.
But it wasn't as bad as it. I don't want to say should have been, but I think they held back the worst of it, and it's been waiting in the wings for all this time. I think that Russia and the Biden administration are all just small-time players in something that's been building for years. It involves the credit cycle It involves America depegging from gold and becoming the world reserve currency. It involves so much more than just COVID and all the other things that people want to blame it on.
Andre Xavier, we'll get to your comments. Carol Thorpe, the Queen of Jack Jewett, we'll get to your comments. You flood the American economy with stimulus dollars. You take a decade or more approach to zero interest rates.
Buying up terrible debt in the form of MBS, mortgage-backed securities, and all the other stuff that the Fed was pulling off of banks. What do you call it? Profit sheets?
Balance sheets.
Balance sheets, yeah. To keep them from going under. And now we're
Smart
seeing,
man, Judah Wickower. Keep talking to us, baby.
And now we're seeing. Well,
keep talking to us.
Not now we're seeing. The banks have continued on the exact same course they were on when they got in trouble in 2008. In fact, I think they've even gotten worse at throwing their money around, talking about over-leveraging all of the derivative market BS that they've gotten into. They've basically tossed everyone under a bus to make more and more and more and more profits. And now we're seeing the results of that.
So I'm going to ask you a straightforward question. And then I'll get to your comments. And we have some really good ones coming in. What are the solutions? We've outlined the problems. And now it's time to figure out solutions so we're not just doom and gloom. I'm not going to just utilize the platform to doom and gloom. What I will utilize the platform for is education, entertainment, and enlightenment. The 3 E's. Education, entertainment, and enlightenment. This is going to get way worse before it gets better. Powell is going to raise rates again this month and likely again next month. The credit card bills are going to be more difficult to manage. We've just explained to you that gasoline is about to go up in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. We just explained to you that real estate values, especially in the outer counties where you're in 20 to 45 minute range of driving distance to the epicenter of employment, the city of Charlottesville, those real estate values will soften because you're going to have less interested buyers looking to purchase properties when gas is expensive and you have to drive far to work. We just explained to you that the grocery costs are not going to drop anytime soon. We just explained to you that Charlottesville and Albemarle County are going to raise the real estate tax rate early next year. Your tax bills are going to be higher. We just explained to you that your personal property taxes on your automobiles are not going to drop anytime soon because the used car market is freaking chaotic. It's death by 1,000 cuts. I want to come up with some solutions to help you. The first solution is figuring out the highest interest debt you have on your household balance sheet. Is it a credit card with 19% APR, 20% APR that's floating right now? Sprint to your bank and see if you can consolidate and lower the rate. I'm talking do it right now. Because in about 2 weeks, that's going to be more expensive debt. Sprint to your bank right now and consolidate your debt. Solution number 1. Solution number 2. Figure out alternative revenue streams that could potentially help you. You may not want to hear this, but maybe you consider a fire sale with some of the clothes you don't utilize in your closet. And there's many third-party websites that you can mail your clothes to and they sell on your behalf, and then they mail you a check. How many people have clothes in their closets that they swear, oh, when I lose some weight, I'm going to fit into those clothes again. That's why I'm going to keep it in my closet. Or, I paid so much for that shirt a couple years ago. Sure, I haven't worn it in 14 months, but I dropped a fortune on it. I don't want to sell it. It's time to get over that. Downsize your closet and utilize third-party vendors to make additional revenue. That's a second option. Third option, find a side hustle. We're all good at something that is not necessarily tied to our source of income, our 9 to 5. Maybe it's something that you can monetize on Etsy. Maybe it's something that you can monetize on an Amazon store. Maybe it's something that you could monetize on eBay. Maybe you're having garage sales and getting rid of the crap in boxes in your attic or your garage that you will never see or never use. That's a third option. Fourth option. If you have an extra room or a basement, maybe you consider renting it out. You get an extra $400, $500, $600 a month. $600 a month times 12 is $7,200 additionally a year. Is it going to suck to have an extended family member or a stranger or a friend in your house? Maybe. But at least you get to stay in it. Another option, I believe this is number 5. Maybe it's time you consider some kind of freelance or part-time work outside your 9 to 5. Maybe it's bartending. Maybe it's waiting tables. Maybe it's working part-time in a warehouse for Walmart distribution, for Amazon, Instacart. There's ample opportunity for employment out there. What you don't want to do, what you should not do, what you should avoid completely is doing nothing. Because it's going to get worse before it gets better. And this is exactly what Powell said would happen.
Yeah.
In Wyoming. Was it Yellowstone?
You're talking about the last open meeting?
Yeah. Powell said,
yeah,
heads will roll.
Yeah, I mean, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They can't, if they keep going with rates, they're obviously pushing us into a recession. If they go back to lowering rates to near zero like they did for way too long, it's just going to cause inflation to blow up again.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yeah.
We'll get to comments. Carol Thorpe, the Queen of Jack Jewett. We have 7 states watching the feed literally as we speak. 7 states watching the feed. Carol Thorpe, Queen of Jack Jewett. I am coming in late to the conversation, but yes to $5 per gallon gas in fourth quarter. President Joseph Biden will not have the National Emergency Reserve to tap again to reduce prices. I read just last night that the reserve is now at a 40-year low. God forbid we have a national energy emergency going forward because thanks to the Biden-Harris administration, the cupboards are nearly bare.
Yeah, the reserves aren't meant to last.
The reserves aren't meant to be the mainstream production points. They're emergencies.
Yeah. And I get that it was, that people were getting terrified by the high gas prices, but you've basically...
You can't use reserves to sway political sentiment months before midterms to claim midterm victories.
Well, there it is.
Is that what happened?
I think a lot's being held back until the
midterms.
The elections are done.
Yeah.
And then we're going to see what
true colors
we're going to
shining through.
Well, I just think we're going to see what dams they've been holding back.
Kevin Yancey, King of Waynesboro. Got a lot of comments from Kevin Yancey. I love when you watch the program, Kevin Yancey. He says the bubble is hissing. He says with the greed of the gas companies, you may see it in 2 weeks, the $5 a gallon gas, because they can and they have the leverage.
I think that's a little unfair to the gas companies because I don't think they want to destroy the country. But yes, like every other company in the world, they're about profits.
Andre Xavier, the king of entrepreneurship, watching the program. Andre says this: when Andre talks, I listen. One concern is the thousands of small businesses that took the EIDL loans. Now those payments are due. How many will not be able to afford them? Scary times for sure.
Yeah.
Andre Xavier, if memory serves correct, CVille Hop-On Tours, you and your partner John Craig initially took an EIDL loan and then realized immediately you wanted nothing to do with this and paid it immediately back in a hole and never utilized that. Am I correct with that memory, Andre Xavier? If memory serves correct, that's what you did. You're looking like Nostradamus right now, Andre, the king of entrepreneurship. Bill McChesney watching the program. The city government keeps dumping surplus revenue on wish list items instead of moving it to a rainy day fund. Well said. I'm going to respond to your comment, Bill McChesney, on one of the 15 Facebook pages this show airs upon. And Bill, I'm going to say, well said, exclamation point, enter publish. I just sent it to you. If anyone in this municipality that we call Charlottesville, Virginia, thinks capital improvement projects like school reconfiguration of Buford is going to go forward in the iteration discussed in the first quarter of this year, you know what you're doing? You're huffing glue. You're huffing glue. Because rates have gone out of control. There's a massive labor shortage in construction and remodeling. The cost of goods are about to get absolutely bonanza nuts crazy. We're going to explain the impact of Hurricane Ian here in a matter of moments. And with retail and meals tax flatlining and going down at the end of this year, jurisdictions will not have the confidence or the surplus to pursue $80 million remodeling projects. Mark it down. Neil Williamson, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, is watching the show, The King of Content. He will be on Real Talk this Friday at 10:15 a.m. We love when Neil Williamson is on the show. Andre Xavier says, that is correct, Jerry. We did it for both the EIDL loan and the PPP. We got the money, realized the strings attached, and then gave it right back. Paid back in full. Andre Xavier, the king of entrepreneurship, I'm responding to your comment by saying this. Andre Xavier, comma, you and John Craig are smart mother duckers. Quack, quack, quack. I said duckers. I said duckers, Mrs. Miller, and I emphasize that with a quack, quack, quack. Kevin Yancey says, BS, Judah. They raised gas 2 times, 3 times a day earlier this year. It's greed. You want to touch on that, Judah?
I mean, maybe you're right.
Judah's not going to bat for the gas companies.
Yeah, I'm not going to the bat. What you said.
Judah hates the gas companies as much as us. You ain't going to bat for the gas companies.
No, but they are businesses, and while I may not think much of them, and they may be after the profits, they're still a business, and the OPEC oil companies are looking at the same issue. As the price of barrels go down, their profits go down. As America has been dipping into our reserves, that's been cutting into gas companies' profits. And there's an economic battle going on right now, and a lot of us are in the crosshairs and are going to lose.
Let's talk about the impact of Hurricane Ian. Oh, get ready for this. Follow me on Twitter. I create the content on Twitter, then I syndicate it across the I Love CVille network. Many of the tweets that I put on my personal Twitter account, @JerryMillerNow, is the foundation for content for this show. I scour Twitter, and I also very much applaud Charlottesville Twitter for sending massive amounts of traffic to ilovecville.com. Thank you. Thank you kindly for the mentions, for the retweets, and for getting our brand top of mind absolutely everywhere. Thank you. Let's talk Hurricane Ian. This is according to CoreLogic, Judah Wickhauer.
Mm-hmm.
According to CoreLogic's report, along the Florida Gulf Coast, and this is on my personal Twitter account, Jerry Miller Now. Follow us now. Get on Twitter, get your phone out, put it in your hand, and hit the follow button right now. Literally do it right now if you want knowledge. My wife sees me on Twitter, and she calls this phone and Twitter Bambi, the other woman. According to CoreLogic's report, along the Florida Gulf Coast, a total of 1,044,412 single-family and multifamily homes were at potential risk of storm surge damage, with a reconstruction cost value, RCV, reconstruction cost value of about $258 billion with a B, Judah. $258 billion with a B. Furthermore, 7,201,572 single-family and multifamily residences with a combined reconstruction cost value of $1.6 trillion are within the moderate and high flash flood risk bands. How will this impact new construction in and around Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia? How will this impact remodeling in and around Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia? How will this impact cost of goods? How will this impact labor? How will this impact new inventory? Here's my take. When you have, what comes after a billion? A trillion? A trillion, right?
It's not even comparable.
It's not even comparable. My calculator cannot compute that number on my phone.
Yeah.
Like my calculator cannot compute that number. It just stops computing it.
I believe a trillion is 1,000,000,000,000.
I can't even compute it on my phone, dude.
It's a million millions.
I can't compute it on my phone.
Yeah.
When you have, let's just call it a rough estimate, $500 million. I don't even understand the concept of $500 billion. What's the world's richest man? Is it still Musk?
I believe it is.
What's world's richest person worth? I'm putting that in Google. Okay, it's Bezos now. It's Bezos. It's Jeffy B.
They probably go back and forth.
Jeffy B right now. Can someone see if you can find the most updated list. Is it Musk? You give me the most updated list, please. It is Musk still. It's Musk still. Musk is worth, and it's paper worth. It's paper money. It's Tesla stock. It's SpaceX stock. And where we're really seeing Musk from a value standpoint is this whole Twitter debacle. Musk may on paper, Judah, be worth $237 billion because of Tesla and SpaceX, But for him to get $237 billion, he would have to sell a boatload of Tesla. He would have to sell all his stock.
He'd have to destroy the company.
He'd destroy his company. So his paper value is $237 billion.
Yeah.
But he's actually having to bring in other people to buy Twitter. And Twitter's what? 10% of his net worth? 15% of his on-paper value? Depending on where they settle. Call it 10 or 15% of his on-paper value. Still, Elon Musk is having to bring other people in, despite Twitter being 10 to 15% of his on-paper value. Because for him to do it, he would destroy his company selling that amount of stock to buy Twitter.
Yeah, he would send it into a tailspin.
He would send it into a tailspin. Exactly. Exactly. So the world's richest man, Elon Musk, has got an on-paper value, and I just explained to you on-paper value is fool's gold.
Yeah.
Where on-paper value does have opportunity is leverage with the bank.
Yeah, no doubt.
The bank can hold those shares as collateral.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
For financing loans.
And maybe it's just that nobody wants to touch the Twitter deal, but yeah, I mean, rich people like Musk and Bezos can leverage their stock to get extremely low interest loans and, buy $1 million homes and stuff like that. But maybe maybe the Twitter deal is too rich for anyone.
King of Southside, Paul McCarter, Musk and Bezos could never liquidate and get anywhere near their net worth. He's
right.
Exactly right. Because they would tailspin their companies.
Yeah.
If they did that.
Yeah.
So what they do is they take their paper value, they go to a bank, and they say, my paper value is this, and then they get
the kind of loan that most of us dream about.
No one would get average Joe or average Sally.
Yeah.
And then the banks assess risk and say, Tesla, great company, will give them this money. Still, Musk has to find other people to buy Twitter, despite being the world's richest man, and despite Twitter being anywhere between 10 or 15% of his on-paper net worth. Still, I digress. Back to Hurricane Ian. Hurricane Ian, is that a Tesla with its horn going off outside the studio? Damn it, Musk. Is that a Tesla?
I don't think it is.
Stop it, Elon. Stop it. Hurricane Ian, we'll call it an on-paper destruction of $500 billion. $500 billion.
Scary.
$500 billion of destruction to commercial real estate, personal residences. Fort Myers destroyed.
Yeah. Destroyed
Fort Myers. You're going to see, because of the value proposition, the opportunity of remodeling and construction and labor, cost of goods, stucco, granite, lumber, appliances, shingles, toilets, luxury vinyl tile, hardwood floors, normal tile, crown molding, hardy plank. What's that woods coating thing? What's that thing called? That goes up to a dining room, like the chair rail stuff. What do you call that, Paul McCarter? You see it in a dining room of nice houses. Wainscoting.
Wainscoting, yeah.
Wainscoting. Is it coating?
I think so.
You're going to see cost of goods spike out of control. You're going to see the labor that's already short right now sprint to Florida for job opportunities.
Yeah.
And that impacts Central Virginia and the Shenandoah Valleys this way. Remodeling and new construction, the labor shortage will be even worse. Remodeling and new construction, the cost of goods will be even more expensive. The labor shortages and the cost of goods, those escalated prices will be passed down, trickle-down economics to the consumer. The consumer now, for remodeling, for new construction, will have costs that are even higher than what they are today, and they're at their peak in American history already.
And if gas goes up and
real estate taxes, groceries.
Well, no, I was talking about gas and shipping and
all of it.
Transportation.
This is supply chain all over again.
Yeah.
Supply chain and COVID all over again. This is cost of goods all over again.
And everything is going to get focused down to Florida for good reason. I mean, it's the same thing that your body does when you. It's why they tell you not to eat and then go swimming, because your body marshals resources for particular parts of your body, and if you've just eaten, then your blood flow is going to your stomach and your all the other parts that are involved in that. And
do you have to wait 30 minutes after you eat to go swimming? Was that just an old wives' tale?
No, it's generally.
Do you have to wait 30 minutes before you can go in the deep end and do a belly flop off the diving board after you eat a peanut butter and banana sandwich?
Well, if that's all you're doing, no. But you probably shouldn't eat and then go swim 30 laps.
Guys, this is real talk. I'm very much encouraging you right now to consolidate any debt that you have as quickly as possible with your bank, to get your credit card debt as quickly as possible in check, to develop some kind of side hustles, to clear out your closets from a clothes standpoint with these third-party sites where you can make some money on the clothes you never wear, to figure out if that art skill set that you have, that craft skill set that you have, can be utilized to make some money on Etsy. Maybe you put your pride aside and figure out a 15 to 20-hour gig at a restaurant, bartending or waiting tables, or in the Walmart distribution center, loading boxes or unloading boxes from a truck. First-time home buyers in this country, we learned a term while you were gone. Danny O'Day taught us this term. Zillennials. A zillennial is the Gen Z millennial, like right there on the bridge. It's a zillennial.
Here, let's put up the...
You got the generational chart you're going to put up? Tell us when that's on screen.
Somewhere in here. There it is.
It's on screen?
It's on screen.
Look at the screen. Everyone, look at the screen. Look at the screen.
So that would be, what, like 96, 97?
Look at the screen. Look at the screen now. Zillennials, young millennials, zillennials, Generation Z. Generation Z is 97 to 2012. Millennials are 1981 to 96. Generation Z, 97 to 2012. Generation Alpha, 2010s to mid-2020s. It's never been a more difficult time to be a first-time home buyer in the United States of America history.
Yeah.
Maybe the last time it was more difficult to be a first-time home buyer in the United States of America history, maybe you can say the Great Depression.
I don't know.
That's the impact of Hurricane Ian on the area. How about the impact of, and I've already touched on this, Charlottesville City Schools, I applaud you. Charlottesville City Schools just took bus driver pay and they raised it 12% to $21 an hour for Charlottesville City school bus drivers, $21 an hour. Who wants to bet that Albemarle County bus drivers who are making $16.50 an hour are going to go, hey, Superintendent Matthew Haas, you're paying me $16.50 a clip. Charlottesville City, right over this invisible line, is paying $21 a pop. Peace. I'm out. I'm taking my CDL and I'm going to Charlottesville City. And I'm making an extra 4 Bs an hour. An extra 4 bones an hour, ladies and gentlemen, quick math, 5, 10, 15, 20, is about $4,000 to $5,000 more a year for doing the exact same thing. Every $10 an hour is equivalent to $20K in take-home pay. Oh, I take that back. If every $10 an hour is equivalent to $20K in take-home pay, an extra $4, yeah, I was right. No, I was wrong. It's about $8 to $10K a year.
Yeah.
Charlottesville City just gave an $8,000 to $10,000 raise when compared to Albemarle County Public Schools.
Yeah.
Albemarle County school bus drivers, listen up. Dr. Matthew Haas and spin doctor Phil G. What's Phil G's last name? The spin doctor, spokesman for Albemarle County Public Schools. Albemarle County Public Schools spokesman. I call him Philly G. What's Philly G's last name? You find that out for me, J-Dubs? Is it Giramati?
What is he again?
Spokesman for Albemarle County Schools? Is it Phil Collins in the air tonight?
I'd say
Phil Collins?
Jaramita.
Jaramita?
That's
Philly G?
That's how I pronounce it, but
Philly G?
I don't know.
Spin doctor, you better put a spin in place for how $16.50 an hour is going to compete with $21 an hour when all they have to do is go over an invisible line and drive a much smaller route, 10.2 square miles, city of Charlottesville, versus a vast Albemarle County public school system, a vast Albemarle County jurisdiction. Who would rather drive in the city of Charlottesville 10.2 square miles in roads, or who would rather drive up Afton Mountain, down the thriving metropolis of Greenwood, and through the backcountry roads of Crozet, Keswick, and Earlysville? I'll take the challenges of Preston Avenue, West Main Street, 10th and Page, North Downtown, Little Graves, Carlton, Belmont, Fifeville, Cherry, over the thriving metropolis and the curvy back roads of Greenwood and Earlysville and Keswick and Barbersville. You better get some spin in place for that, dog. Because that's your next PR conundrum, Holmes. Now, the impact of Charlottesville is you just gave a 12% raise to bus drivers. And taxpayers, and I'm one of them, this business, these businesses, and this building, mostly mine, that rate's going to go up. Prepare yourself. Couple more things. I'm going to talk Dewberry and Dulaney. We'll set the stage. Johnny Dewberry is whom?
I can't remember your moniker for him, but yeah, he's the owner of the landmark eyesore.
The extorting emperor of empty lots, Johnny Dewberry. A scion of Waynesboro, the former gunslinger for the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech, now a developer who leaves properties blighted to gain leverage with jurisdictions so they give him tax rebates, tax dollars, and tax opportunities. Microcosm, the Dewberry Hotel, the Landmark Hotel, the Dewberry Apartments, sorry. What is it now? The home for the biggest rats in Charlottesville, and a position for houseless individuals to urinate in downtown Charlottesville.
There you go. At least it's good for something, right?
Hey, who doesn't want to urinate on a building right in the heart of the downtown mall? Who doesn't want to watch 3-pound rats scurrying in and out of privacy fences? Who doesn't want to see Friends of CVille spend tens of thousands of dollars to create an art mural on a dilapidated? Oh, dilapidating. Thank you. Dilapidating. Who doesn't want to see some houseless folks defecate on an art mural in the middle of the community. Talk about hospitality.
Yeah.
Who is the most negligent landlord in our backyard? The extorting emperor of empty lots, Johnny Dewberry, or Philly Dulaney? Philly Dulaney, the owner of Swananoa, the Hojo's on Afton Mountain, the Wayside Chicken Dirty Nellies, Corridor, most of it he owns. Bishop's of Bishop's Barbershop owns a good chunk of that as well. The lot where Moose's Diner is off on Interstate 64 at the bottom of Monticello. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think it's Phil Dulaney. Phil Dulaney, also the owner of the Charlottesville Oil building right across from the Boar's Head.
Yeah.
Right down from Farmington, a hop, skip, and a jump from Ednam Forest and Ednam Village, a little half-swing pitching wedge from the MacArthur Squash Center where I like to spend some time, a little boot, scoot, and boogie from the Mill Room where I think the best old-fashioned is in town. It's got to be Phil Dulaney, right? Because of the prolific nature of his holdings.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Dewberry has one. Granted,
Right.
that one is on the crown jewel, the downtown mall.
But we've also heard some conflicting views on that that struggle between the city and.
Is this when you allude to the Michael Payne fiasco? Is that
Yeah.
what you're alluding to?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you got to be straightforward with that.
Well, I mean, you can't you can't call him out without referencing that. And
Do you want to reference it, or do you not just want to be the bad guy, and that's why you're just kind of tiptoeing it around?
I mean, I don't need to go into specifics, but the basic concept was that he was in the works to make a deal, and he kind of got screwed, and so he left.
He didn't kind of get screwed. He got effed in the bottom of the ninth inning.
Yeah.
He got, and I didn't use a profanity there, Mrs. Miller.
So
I didn't use a profanity.
So my point being that you can dislike him all you want, and you can dislike the eyesore that the landmark has become, but the guy has a genuine grievance.
Oh, no doubt. 100%. He has an undoubted grievance. He props to Judah. Dude, I love having you back.
Thank you.
I missed you. I thought Joey Rifkin did a hell of a job. JR, if you're watching, Young Jedi, I thought you did a hell of a job. But 10 plus years I've worked with this man. Love having you back. Kevin
Thank
Yancey
you.
says, don't forget the Toddsbury and Ivy, where the pizza parlor was. Right down Ivy Road. There's a pizza parlor over there. Fantastic pizza. That place closed down because he didn't take care of the property.
Oh, is that another Dulaney?
Yeah, that's a Dulaney. To Judah's point, Johnny Dewberry, the extorting emperor of empty lots, had a deal in place that Mike Signer, the former mayor, brokered. And that deal included parking spots in the Water Street parking garage. Aren't parking spots needed for a hotel?
I don't think so.
Pretty sure they are.
Yeah.
Pretty sure they are.
Unless you're building the hotel on top of a parking garage.
Unless you're the Jetsons and you're just going to get in one of those aerospace things and meet the Jetsons
That would
and
be
go
cool.
to and from the hotel.
Just fly off the roof.
Just fly off the roof? Is that what Johnny do? Is that what he's doing? Is he flying off the roof? I love when you laugh, dude. I love when you laugh. I love when you laugh. Meet the Jetsons, fly off the roof.
There you go.
He wasn't doing that. He needed a parking spaces.
Yeah.
Mike Signer brokered that deal in the Water Street garage. And then Michael Payne, current Charlottesville City Councilor, and a little Nikiah Walker went in the shadows.
Are we giving props to Signer?
And Signer's getting props here.
What's going on?
I know, this is where Signer's getting props. I'm probably going to get a lot of mentions and a lot of retweets and a new thread on social media about this because Signer's getting some props. I encourage Twitter and Reddit to continue doing this because the traffic on our platform, I Love CVille, has been off the chain. The Google words, the Google ads are driving tremendous revenue right now. Thank you. Signer creates a deal for parking spaces for Johnny Dewberry's hotel. Michael Payne and Nakia Walker, in the wake of August 12, 2017, the shadows of August 12, 2017, the collateral damage of August 12, 2017, said, oh, why are we giving a white developer from outside Charlottesville, a carpetbagger from Atlanta, a wealthy rich dude in an Italian suit with leather shoes and a shiny watch, tax rebates? This ain't right. Kiboshed the deal. Pooped the deal.
In the 11th hour, if I'm not mistaken.
In the bottom of the ninth inning. Not only the bottom of the ninth inning, but in the bottom of the ninth inning with 2 outs on an 0-2 count and the game literally about over. Now we have the Dewberry.
Yep. The
home of 3-pound rats and houseless individuals urinating all over privacy walls. Hey, it's got a $30,000 mural from Friends of CVille on it, though.
And now we have Dulaney.
And now we have Philly Dulaney. Got the Dewberry. He's got the Toddsberry. It's got Swatanoa, a little Hojo's on Afton Mountain, a little Wayside Chicken, a little Dirty Nellies, the lot off Moose's Diner. It's Philly Dulaney is the most negligent, prolific landlord around the city of Charlottesville. I'm going to close with this. I want your take on it, and then I'll close on the Birkin bags branding story. Okay? Last night, I watched a docu-series called Eat the Rich, the GameStop Saga. Judah Wickower made some money on GameStop. Humble Judah Wickower is just not going to allude to what he made. He's just going to nod. He made some money.
Care.
You made some money. That's all I have to put it.
This was during the squeeze.
I know. You made some money. You were a smart man.
Which was not the SEC report has stated that squeeze was not caused by hedge funds closing, which means that there's still life there. But yes,
you made some money.
I got lucky. You
didn't get lucky, dude.
No, I did.
Give yourself some props.
I had.
You were sitting right in that chair, and my desk was over there, and you said to me multiple times, "You better get in on this GameStop thing." And I said, "This is crazy. This is bonanza. I'm not going to put any of my hard-earned income in this. I'm not going to do it." You probably told it to me 5 or 6 times. I never did. I should have listened.
I don't know the timeline. You
made money.
I jumped in not knowing anything about what was going on, and I just had seen it going up. I bought some.
You're being humble. You made money.
I know that.
Okay? You made money.
I'm more than 5x the money that I put in on it. I wish I'd put everything in on it.
He just told you. You don't have to tell him the dollar amount. I wouldn't suggest doing it.
I'm not. I didn't get rich.
I wouldn't suggest you do it. He 5x'd his investment, Judah Wickower. More than 5x? 5x plus?
Yeah, probably.
He 5x plus his investment. I should have listened to you. I watched last night on Netflix the docu-series. The docu-series was called Eat the Rich, the GameStop Saga. I think it's 3 episodes, the docu-series. I think each episode is roughly 45 minutes to 50 minutes long.
I haven't seen it. I haven't necessarily heard great things about it. It's I think, more of an outsider's view on what happened, and certainly doesn't tell the whole story, nor does it explain the fact that this is a continuing story.
Okay, that's fair. It talks about the impact of Roaring Kitty.
Yeah, DFV.
It talks about DFV.
DFV is Roaring Kitty.
Right, I know. And I didn't realize that. Roaring Kitty, who everyone knows, and DFV,
Keith Gill.
it's a deep effing, we didn't use a profanity, Mrs. Miller. Deep effing value. 2 people leading the craze were the same person under 2 different Reddit accounts. Roaring Kitty.
No, one of them, one of those names was his YouTube moniker. The other was his Reddit
but
moniker.
People didn't realize it was the same person. And did you also know...
Some people might not have.
Did you also know that Roaring Kitty was at one time a licensed professional.
Yeah.
Like he was a shark, like a licensed professional who worked for finance companies.
I mean, that's why he's doing technical analysis on YouTube.
Yeah, technical analysis. They estimate he made somewhere between $35 and $40 million. We're talking Judah Wickower money on what he made on GameStop.
I think he made more than that, but I mean, he saw the turnaround story for GameStop.
Right, before everyone.
Yeah.
They talk about how other people rode his coattails, how Reddit galvanized together to squeeze hedge funds like Melvin Capital. They talked about the power of the meme stock craze, and they did it at a 7th grade level. I encourage everyone watching this show to watch this Netflix series, Eat the Rich, the GameStop Saga. It's fascinating and easily digestible.
And I would encourage people who have seen that to go find some real information about what's going on and pop onto Reddit and look up GameStop.
There you go.
There's a lot of due diligence in there that's totally worth reading.
Genius people.
The Dollar Endgame series explains what's going on with the U.S. dollar right now.
You guys want a show to watch? Watch that one. It's a great springboard to a lot of learning for you. It's finance at a 7th grade level. And it's entertaining. Last topic I want to cover on the show, then we're getting the hell out of here. Is hell a profanity?
Depends who you ask.
We're getting the HE double hockey sticks out of here. I'm going to tell you the story of Birkin bags. Birkin bags, a sister company or a sister brand of
Hermes. I looked it up. It's French. It's Hermes.
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 Hermes. Hermes?
I guess.
It's not Hermes.
No. Hermes is the god.
Oh God. I was going to make a sexual joke, but I chose not to. I'm choosing my words carefully.
Oh, I think I know where you were going.
No, we're not going to do that. Hermes. All right, here's the story of Birkin bags. Jane Birkin. She was an influencer, a fashionista. On an airplane flight 40 years ago, Jane Birkin, a fashion icon, sat next to a man. And this man was in a tailored suit, a fantastic tie, the pocket square, pinstripe, Italian loafers, fantastic alligator belt. She sat next to this executive on the flight 40 years ago. Jane Birkin was an actress, a singer, a style icon. She was known for carrying a wicker basket everywhere she went instead of using a bag or purse. A wicker basket. That was her branding. That was her
Yeah.
her
Everybody
style.
knew her because she carried around a basket.
Carried a wicker basket. In 1984, 38 years ago, Jane Birkin found herself struggling to jam this wicker basket in the overhead bin of a flight from Paris to London. When she finally sat down in her seat, Jane Birkin turned to the stranger in the seat next to her. Pinstripe suit, Italian loafers, pocket square, silk tie, hair neatly combed, manicured and groomed this man.
I'm just imagining where this story is going.
She mentioned to the executive next to her that it was impossible to find a weekend bag that was stylish and convenient. The stranger next to her
Why don't you make one?
smiled and introduced himself to Jane Birkin. Hello, my name is Jean-Louis Dumont. I am the executive chairman of Hermes. Jane Birkin and Jean-Louis Dumas, for that flight from London to Paris, on the back of airplane cocktail napkins, designed a better weekend bag to meet Jane Birkin, a mother, and her needs.
Nice.
They spent the rest of the flight sketching bags on cocktail napkins. And after a year of patiently waiting, Jane received a phone call from Mr. Dumas. Mr. Dumas' company, Hermes, created the first Birkin bag. The bag itself was square-shaped with pockets that could hold baby bottles and other accessories for Jane, who was a new mother. And as crazy as it sounds, the Birkin bag initially had very mediocre sales for years after its release. Then the tide changed. And in the early 2000s, the Birkin bag started quickly selling to the point of a waiting list. How long was that waiting list? It was 6 years long. 6 years. Many of Hermes's wealthy clients got irritated, angry, and felt unfairly treated because they were on a waiting list for so long. So Hermes in 2010 actually dropped the bag and replaced it with something else. They stopped selling it. Obviously, Hermes, the company, was never, ever going to produce enough bags to meet demand. So Hermes, the company, got crafty, they got clever, and they got opportunistic. They created an allocation system for the Birkin bags. Every Hermes store would receive a set number of bags to sell to Hermes customers. The Hermes sales associates in each store were the gatekeepers. They determined which customers were worthy of the Birkin bag.
Oh, man.
With this system in place, there was no guarantee that you as an Hermes customer would get a Birkin bag.
No soup for you.
Instead, the associates utilized the bags to get customers to spend more money on Hermes clothing because the sales associates were commissioned on the clothes and the dollar amounts they sold. They went to Hermes clients and said, if you want a chance to buy this Birkin bag, you need to take what's on the counter right here and go bring 3 or 4x the amount of clothing that's on the counter back to the register, or you're not going to get this bag. Literally, that's what happened.
Oh.
To secure a chance of purchasing the bag, you had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on Hermes clothing, had to have a relationship of some kind with the sales associate, or you had to be famous and filthy rich like a Kim Kardashian. Basically, Hermes stores rewarded their wealthiest and most loyal customers with the Birkin bag. And you wouldn't know the craziest part of this? Only 200,000 Birkin bags are estimated in production every year. 200,000. Not two bags are alike. Every bag of that 200,000 is different. You have a unique piece of product every time. And the most crazy aspect of this, when the sales associate said, Judah, you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Hermes clothing. Now you have the opportunity to purchase this bag. You had to buy the bag no matter the color, no matter the size, or no matter the price. Some of the bags,
this is the one we're giving you.
Some of the bags range from $7,000 all the way up to $300,000 and $400,000.
I'm looking at.
So if you got offered this bag and it was $300,000 and you wanted a Birkin bag and it was green and small, but you wanted a black one and big, you had no choice but to buy it.
Too bad.
Because if you didn't buy it in that particular circumstance, you were never offered the bag again.
Man.
This is a true story. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how the Birkin bag utilized branding, marketing, supply and demand, and the value proposition of creating artificial scarcity with luxury goods to drive sales.
And people say the gas companies are bad.
It's a different level of wealth. I think we call that one percenters. For Judah Wickower, I'm Jerry Miller, and this is the I Love CVille Show.